I have a story to share with you. It's called Spring After Spring, How Rachel Carson Inspired the Environmental Movement by Stephanie Roth Sisson. Cheerily! It was dawn when the chorus began. Cheer up, cheerily, cheer-a-doo, Phoebe, Phoebe, cheerily, 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 witchy, witchy, meow, meow, twee, twee, tree, tree, coo, coo, coo. Rachel didn't want to miss a note. Beep, beep, caw, caw, buzz, hello. So he's talking to all the birds. As the midnight sun warmed the earth, other musicians chimed in. Chirp, chirp, buzz, weed, 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 beep, 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 buzz, chip, 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 cheety, cheety. And wonders big and small. Spring was Rachel's favorite time of year. As the sun set, she could hear the first bubbles of frog song. Crickets began their nighttime tune, and bats squeaked a lullaby. Chirp, 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 squeak, witchy, witchy. At home, there was a warm supper and a big family. Mom played the piano, and Dad sang songs and read stories. Roaring seaward and I go, rocked in the cradle of deep. Rachel's favorites were those about the sea. As the days grew longer and warmer, the chattering, chirping, and hooting got louder. Cheep, 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 hoot, hoot, click, click, chirp, chirp, grump. Until the gathering calls from migrating birds meant that it was autumn. They were coming together for their long journey through the ocean of air to their wintering homes. Honk, 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 say the geese. But not everyone left. Snuggled under a warm blanket, Rachel drew pictures and wrote about the life she experienced all year. She read books about animals and imagined what their lives were like. Look at this one. Spring after spring, year after year, the birds arrived. Every season, Rachel watched, listened, and wrote. And like the nestlings, she grew quickly. And then one autumn, it was time for her to go off to college. She was sure she wanted to be a writer. Until she looked through a microscope and saw a small world in a drop of water. Tiny sea plants and animals. Rachel was amazed and in love. She wanted to know more about the very small world made visible by a microscope. She had never been to the ocean and was scared to go in the water. To learn about the creatures in tide pools and marshes in the sea, Rachel decided she would study biology, and she put her writing aside. After she completed school, Rachel worked as a scientist and compiled information about the ocean. Now for her job, she wanted to know what it was like to actually be underwater. She was still scared, but she went anyway. Rachel began to write books about the sea. They were so full of scientific detail and vivid descriptions of the lives of sea creatures that people could imagine those worlds. And Rachel became a famous author. But there was something wrong. All around, nature's voices were going quiet. So Rachel did what she did best. She watched closely, listened carefully, and learned as much as she could about what was happening. Rachel put together scattered facts and found the answer. People wanted to kill bugs that ate their plants, bothered them, and sometimes even made them sick. Chemists created new poisons to solve the insect problem that seemed to work and seemed to be harmless to the creatures and humans. These poisonous chemicals were quickly used everywhere in huge amounts because people thought they were safe. But Rachel found evidence that the poisons were not safe. Poisons eaten by microscopic water life eaten by tiny fish eaten by bigger fish eaten by eagle. Eagle egg shells are so thin they break during incubation. Poison coats worms eaten by birds eat mini worms coated in poison, bird dies. Poison coats worms and insects are eaten by the birds eaten by a fox eats birds, mice, and other animals that have eaten the poison, fox dies. So Rachel wrote a book to tell people what she had learned. Silent Spring created a huge ruckus. Some people were inspired to change, but many didn't believe Rachel. Why are we putting them everywhere? Are they the only answer? Do we have to use so much? Are we sure they're safe? They're perfectly safe, trust us. They are the answer to our past problems. They are modern chemicals for a modern world. Eventually, President Kennedy took notice and began an investigation to find out what was true. Rachel was asked to come to Washington, D.C. and defend her book. She was scared, but she went. Rachel's testimony in Washington and her writing in Silent Spring made people see that they have an effect on the environment and the other creatures that they share the world with. People were inspired to speak up. Congress passed new laws so that nature was treated with more care, and some of the most harmful chemicals were banned. Spring after spring, year after year, people celebrate the earth and the environment because Rachel showed them how beautiful and precious it is. Tweet, Phoebe, hello! Charlie. But Rachel went home and continued watching and listening. And in the morning, she went out among the tide pools and gathered specimens, and in the afternoon, she carefully studied them and took notes on her observations. And in the evening, when the tide had gone out again, she returned each creature with great care, exactly in the spot she had found it, exactly where it belonged. Thank you for listening to Spring After Spring, how Rachel Carson inspired the environmental movement. Take care. See you later.